Welcome to the Pretty Rich podcast, where every woman is the heroine of her own story. I'm Sheila Bella, and I built $1 million beauty business from nothing. Maybe, if you listen enough, you'll start to believe that you can do it too. Because if the perfect job doesn't exist, you can create it. If the job you want isn't hiring you, you can unapologetically hire yourself. My aim for each episode is to equip you with empowering conversations on how to grow a lifestyle that's pretty rich in love, beauty, wellness, and of course, financial wealth. I'm Sheila Bella, beauty business coach, celebrity brow artist, microblading educator, entrepreneur, wife, mother, friend, daughter, and your forever positive beauty boss bestie. Let's go. Welcome to Pretty Rich Podcast episode 6. Woo! I am wired. I just took the perfect keto nootropic protein powder. It is awesome. I feel real good right now. Today's episode, let's get to today's episode. We're doing a podcast focus. Today's episode is all about living without shame, how to stop hating and picking on your body. Girls, we gotta stop doing this, okay? We're doing it to ourselves. How to stop hating, picking on your body, being super overcritical, you know, like a naggy mother-in-law. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. How to stop hating on your body and start living. And we also tackle, what does body positivity actually mean? I'm talking about the hashtag body positive. And to answer all those hard questions, I have Anthea talking to the incomparable Christine Hronec. Oh my goodness. Okay, she's been one of our dream guests for a while now because Christine Hronec is truly a force of inspiration. Like you gotta listen to her to believe me. You'll understand once you listen to her. So today, if you're down on yourself, maybe you're not feeling like the sexy woman that you know you are, snap, okay? And you need to have your brain rewired today because maybe you're PMSing and you're just not feeling hot. Trust me, by the end of this episode, you're gonna have a different perspective in the way you look at yourself and especially the way you talk to yourself. It is so, so important. But first, I have some announcements real quick. Have you guys heard of the United Ink Queen City Tattoo and Arts Festival? Okay. It's, you know what? It's so crazy because like all the best like permanent makeup masters are going to be teaching and speaking there. And I guess it's a fairly new thing in the permanent makeup community, but it is an amazing opportunity. This conference is where all the big dogs of tattoo and permanent makeup are going to be speaking and teaching and mingling. And I will be one of them. My class is only $99 and I'm going to be unraveling all the mysteries of Instagram, Facebook, and just social media in general and how to tie that into your business, how to use social media effectively to monetize your beauty business. You're going to learn how to use it to leverage your beauty business and learn how to work smarter, okay? Not harder, because I see y'all who are working way too hard, way too much. Okay, y'all need to slow down and come up with a strategy. And that's what I'm going to be doing at United Ink Queen City Tattoo and Arts Festival in Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's going to be on October 28th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Charlotte Convention Center. So for more information, go to unitedinkproductions.com or send me a DM on the gram at Real Sheila Bella. Also, I wanted to remind you that it's not too late to join the Pretty Rich Instagram challenge. Yep, I'm hosting one. It starts on Monday, October 5th, and it's only 5 days. It's a 5-day challenge that's designed to shake up your social media life and change it for the better. And I'm going to use it to teach you all the best ways to up your game when it comes to business. So how it's going to work is that I'm going to email you a prompt every morning for 5 days. And each prompt is strategically designed to up your following, up your engagement, up your bookings. And I am positive that you're going to learn so much from this completely free Instagram challenge. So if you want to sign up, head on over to my Instagram. Go to @RealSheilaBella, click on the link in my bio, type in your email, and you'll be good to go. You'll start receiving emails on Monday, and we're going to do this together, okay? I'm going to do it with you. Okay, so back to episode 6 on body image. So as entrepreneurs, confidence, you guys know this, confidence is everything. And I always say that the surest person in the room is the winner. Isn't that so? Like, the most confident person in the room is so magnetic. People just want to be around them. And that's important. That's an important element as an entrepreneur. And how we view our bodies is deeply tied to how we show up. So it's important to get our minds correct on the issue of body image, because if you're going to show up, you got to show up sure. So body image is obviously something I've struggled with. I think it's because I'm a woman. And, you know, with social media and magazines, and there's just an impossible, almost impossible image that social media and magazines and the media puts out of what you're supposed to look like. So as somebody like myself who cares about their looks, first of all, I just want to address that. I don't think there's anything wrong with caring about your looks, you know, but I definitely think that when I was younger, I took it to a really unhealthy level, particularly in my teen years and early 20s. It sucked in there. It really did. I thought that my self-worth on this planet was determined by how I looked. And I hid myself, literally hid myself if I didn't feel perfect. Can you imagine that kind of feeling? The feeling to literally, the need to literally hide yourself as a person, because I was so ashamed of my physical appearance. It was really bad. I remember there was one Thanksgiving where I begged my mom to allow me to skip the family party because I dealt with some really evil and dark descriptions of myself in my brain. I missed gathering with people I loved because my fear overcame me. I was so embarrassed. And that is crazy when I think of who that girl was right now. Like, I want to give her a hug. And I'm opening up to you guys so you would know how bad it was for me. And I was able to overcome it. I really worked on this big time because this was hugely crippling for me. I had a very unhealthy relationship with the mirror and with food. I told myself over and over again that I wasn't good enough. And what triggered that was my need for male attention. I wanted to be loved. I was looking for love. I had guys when I was dating not treat me so well. And I just always equated it to like, oh, well, maybe if I looked better, maybe if I was skinnier, maybe somebody would love me. And that is a disgusting, totally false way to think. I'm happy that I'm married now to somebody who's loved me throughout all my pregnancies, all my shapes and sizes, and has made me feel beautiful every single day throughout every single day of our marriage. So I'm totally okay with saying this out loud because it was my truth for a long time. And I really believe that it is the stuff we don't talk about. It is a truth for a lot of people. So maybe it's you. Maybe it's you in the past. Maybe it's you now. Maybe there's somebody out there that really needs to hear this message. I realized after a lot of work, I realized that it wasn't my body that needed to change. It was my perspective. I looked at the people in my life. I scanned them all and I assessed them. I studied them. And I thought, who are the people in my life that light up a room wherever they go, whenever they come in? What do these people look like? Well, it depends on what eyes you're seeing with. I got more in tune with my soul, the eyes of my soul, and I realized that my favorite people, the ones that made me feel the best, didn't look like fitness models and supermodels with six packs. As a matter of fact, my favorite people were different types of people that range from big to small, from dark to light. Their magnetic appeal had nothing to do with their looks, but everything to do with their energy, their self-esteem, the pride they took in themselves, their kindness, their generosity, their realness. Those people started becoming my ideals. So if you're sitting at home and maybe you feel the need to hide because maybe you're ashamed of how you look, or maybe you're avoiding that high school reunion or avoiding going live on your Facebook and Instagram because you don't like how you look, it's time to reassess your self-worth. Help me rewire your brain. Listen to me. You are enough exactly as you are right now. You are worthy of success. Shine on and don't let something as insignificant as the way you look stop you from expressing the truth of your soul and stop you from inspiring people. You know, my husband had a stroke a couple weeks ago. And if anything, it was more of a reminder that life is short. You got to do it now. He's recovering, by the way. He's fine. So that's also another reason why Anthea is doing this interview with Christine alone, because my husband and I were in the hospital for 10 days. And for those of you who stepped up and supported me, sent me awesome messages, and prayed for us over the last few weeks, thank you so much. So, without further ado, here is Anthea interviewing the awesome Christine Hronec. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pretty Rich Podcast. Today's guest is Christine Hronec. She's an author, engineer, and nutrition scientist, and after only 9 weeks of training, she placed second in her first NPC bikini competition and became a nationally qualified NPC competitor. She holds a bachelor's in science and master's in science in chemical and biological engineering from Drexel University. She's a co-owner and food scientist of Body and Mind Nutrition and the founder and CEO of Gauge Girl Training, an online nutrition and fitness coaching service. By age 26, she was earning 6 figures and reached well over 7 figures before the age of 30. She has been featured in Forbes, OK Magazine, Flex Magazine, The Huffington Post, CBS, Fox News, and Muscle and Fitness Hers, and most importantly, an amazing, empowering woman. So, Christine,
Hey.
thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
I am super excited to have you as a guest on our podcast. I mean, I came across you while browsing through the internet, then I went down this rabbit hole. That is Gauge Girl Training. And found that you were the Wonder Woman behind this amazing company. I mean, yeah, you're like, you're everywhere. And like, I just having you, like seeing you right here, right now, I'm just completely fangirling over here. I mean, it's true. I mean, okay, so you are behind this Gauge Girl army. So, I want to start with a game that Sheila and I like to play every time we have a new guest. It's going to be fun. It's called the Fat Penguin 5.
Okay.
Do you get it? It's an icebreaker. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, it's a series of 5 questions to help our audience get to know you a little bit better. Okay?
Cool.
So, 1, favorite foundation or mascara?
This is gonna sound crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like not a big makeup person.
That's okay.
I can't even tell you. All I do is just store brand, I guess CoverGirl or
Yes, cover girl.
whatever is in the aisle of Target. I am not fancy when it comes to makeup at all, but I am fancy when it comes to my dry shampoo.
Okay.
I've tried every brand of dry shampoo, and I like Living Proof. I think they're pretty good, and I also like Dove.
Oh,
But
yes, Dove.
yeah, makeup I can't tell you much about. I'm very basic when it comes to makeup.
But that's great, though. You know what I mean? I got the dry shampoo,
Yeah.
noted. Okay, so 2, okay? A book you've recommended to a lot of people.
There's this book called The Power of Habit. It's
Ooh.
got this yellow cover, and it's a very empowering book because I think that any change that you're going to make in your life is going to come down to mastering your habits
Oh, yes,
because we're
girl,
all
true.
creatures of habits.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably have recommended that to dozens of close friends. My copy has been bounced around between my close circle of friends. It's a really good read. It's a quick and easy read. Like you could read it on like an airplane ride, but very good book.
Ooh, okay, so who's the author?
I believe it's Charles Duhigg.
Okay.
I believe.
Cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to be adding that to my list.
Yeah.
Okay. So, number 3, best daily habit for success.
Waking up early. Waking up early, just having a quiet moment in the morning with my coffee, but always waking up early. Like I can't sleep in. Like every day of the week, I wake up early.
Oh,
And
so do you wake up early like a certain time every day?
minimum 5 a.m., but sometimes I'm up earlier. So I would rather like wake up at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. if I have a
What?
lot going on in a given day. I know that sounds insane. And like crash earlier at night. So if that means
Okay.
I got to crash at like 9:30, 10,
Mm.
and get up at 1, 2 to start continuing whatever it was I was working on. But for me, like there's something magical about those quiet hours in the morning
It's
where
true.
no one is
It is.
bothering you,
True.
and like the world's not awake. Your distractions are just minimal. Like for any project that I've ever worked on, any health goal, any fat loss goal, whatever the goal was, whether it was in college, business, there's something magical about those hours of the morning.
Absolutely. I mean, I absolutely agree. When you say 1 o'clock, girl, I haven't even gotten to 1 o'clock status, but I hear you on the early in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than pulling an all-nighter. I mean, because
Yeah.
I've done that before, but like sometimes you just need to sleep for a little bit, and so.
Okay, so 4, your favorite quote of the week.
Mm. Oh goodness, favorite quote of the week. It's gonna sound kind of whatever, but the whole I'm I'm doing this for me.
Yeah,
It's really short, really simple, but
I
sometimes
love
you just
it.
need to do it for you, whatever it is.
True, girl, true.
I'm doing this for me.
And that, girl, is a great reminder.
Yep.
Huh. Mine right now is inspire others by doing what inspires you.
No, I like it.
Right?
Very good.
Okay, 5. What are you grateful for?
Oh my goodness, so much. I'm grateful to God for every opportunity He's given me, the opportunity to help others, the opportunity to share my knowledge, just all the blessings I've been given because I've been blessed with so much. I'm blessed with an amazing family, a really good support system. I have really amazing people really close to me, and I have just so much to be thankful for.
Yes. Girl, thank you. That was beautiful. Okay, so we brought you on today to talk about something that is kind of a big deal to Sheila and I. And I know for a lot of women out there. And that is body image. I mean, I just kind of went over it today. I just had a moment in the mirror with my own body image. So tell us your story. Because I know you've built this successful business, a brand called Gauge Girl Training. And a lot of people identify you for your knowledge. and that's obviously where I became super obsessed with you, and saying, that there's just so much there, there's just so much that, you could share. What I want to know is a little bit more about you, Christine Hronec. Where did you start? Can you tell us, where you came from?
Sure, absolutely. Well, to start off, I'm an only child. I've always been an overachiever my whole life, but very type A perfectionist. And that was always very big when it came to academics. And obviously, those personality traits are going to transfer over into the way you look at yourself. I recall being really hard on myself at a very young age, starting probably in my teens and probably around like 13 or so. When you're going through puberty and your body's changing. And I'm like, why do I weigh so much more? Because I'm half Filipino and I'm half Slovak. So the quote unquote white side of me made me way taller than my Filipino family. And when I'm like 11, 12, 13 years old and I'm taller than my mom, my aunts, my grandmothers, and like I weigh more, I just weighed more than everybody. It was weird for me. And, I'm 5'7.5", but half my family, they're like 5 foot. And, it was at a younger age, just weighing more than everyone. It was very weird. I think a lot of young women struggle with the number on the scale, especially being a teenager in the 90s. And from there, I was active in track and cross country. And, I kept my weight to a reasonable place. I've never been overweight per se, but I've had phases where I didn't always like my body. But distance running was a big thing for me. And I was always convinced that if I ever one day ran a marathon, because all the miles I would need to run to do that, I would just have this amazing body. And in my mind, growing up, that amazing body was something like that of like a Kate Moss or a Gwyneth Paltrow. And I was never very athletic. I wasn't very good at sports. I didn't excel at sports the way I excelled in academics. So I always felt very bad about myself athletically because I just wasn't that good, like at all, like ever. And, being able to do well, like I took so much of my identity from excelling and just crushing it academically and professionally, but athletically, I don't know. I just didn't do well. But all that being said, it wasn't until my 20s, my late 20s, when I started getting into weight training, because I eventually did do a marathon in my early 20s or mid 20s, and I did great, but I still didn't look different. I still didn't have abs. I still kind of looked how I looked.
Right.
And looking back on those pictures, was there anything wrong with my body per se? No. I actually, but it's just, I think as all women, like, we always want to find something wrong with ourselves. But once I started weight training, I started learning how to do less cardio and eat less, because I ate healthy. I always ate healthy food. I just ate way too much. And it was a big reality check once I started realizing how much food I was eating and really took an aware approach to my nutrition. And I was like, dang, like, because being half Filipino, all we eat is rice. And
true.
The amount of rice I can pack on a plate is literally like 5x the amount of rice like you probably need. I could just eat and eat and eat and eat. I can eat. So anyway, but for my body type, like, I always gained weight pretty evenly. So even the heavier versions of myself, I didn't really look heavy per se, because, it didn't all go to my butt or my stomach. I was just a little bit heavier everywhere. But all that being said, I eventually got into weight training, dialed in my nutrition, figured out how to lean out, got into competing. I looked really good for years and years and years. And it became a bit obsessive once I got to the competitive level where I was competing nationally, because, you're standing on stage next to the fittest women in the country. And if you're hard on yourself in your own head, put yourself up against like amazing women from all over the country. And it messed with me. It messed with me in a big way, because I like I said before, I've never found my worth in my looks. I've always found my worth in my brain.
Yeah.
And trying to find my worth in my body was a very strange experience for me. And I just felt like I kept failing and I kept failing and I kept failing. And, and I won some competitions, and, I never got to the point where I achieved my pro card. It just was more and more and more competitive. And, um, that level of constant self-critiquing, it it was really hard, and I pushed myself so hard to look so lean for so long, and it just got to a point where I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. And not that I didn't have the discipline or the willpower, I just didn't want to. I didn't like feeling that shitty about myself. And even in hindsight, times when I was my leanest, I look at those pictures now, I should have thought like I was like queen of the world. Look at how great you look. But I didn't feel that way. And now the way I feel, and I've grown so much since then.
Okay.
My last competition was in 2014. It's obviously 4 years later since I've been on the stage. And since then, I've really put my energy and passion into educating people about sustainable living, about focusing on loving my body, loving myself. And I've never felt more love and compassion for my body now than when I looked my best by the world standards.
Wow. So is this where Gauge Girl came from? Is this how Gauge Girl came to be?
Gauge Girl training started unofficially in 2012, but officially in 2013. So through my competitive days, I got a lot of inquiries for advice, lots and lots of inquiries for advice. And Gauge Girl training initially started as something I did on the side with my first company. And my first company was Muscle Gauge Nutrition, and I was Gauge Girl. And I just kind of came up with it from that company. It was a little spin-off, but it was a completely different service because that company made supplements. And I had the opportunity to sell my services essentially because there was just so much demand for them. I couldn't open my email without somebody asking me a question. And I saw it as a cool opportunity. I liked doing it. I was good at it. But Gauge Girl training didn't turn into the amazing community it is now until I really started to change. And initially, I'd say for the first 2 years of Gauge Girl, it was really focused towards a much younger demographic. It was really focused towards very physique-oriented goals. And not that I don't get physique-oriented goals from my clients now, which I do, but it was more for people who wanted to lose the last 5 vanity pounds back then, or people who wanted to lose, to go from 16% body fat to 12% body fat. Now I cater to a much larger demographic of men and women of all different health conditions, and I feel good being able to use my knowledge to take people out of different slumps in life, because the mission of Gauge Girl training comes down to education and empowerment at the end of the day. And I feel my best as a human when I'm educating. Like it just comes so natural to me. I love it. It makes me just feel whole to be educating people. Like, I don't know, maybe I'll be a professor one day. Like, I just love talking science. And once I started doing that on YouTube and people just started responding to me, I was just shocked because I like to experiment. And
me too.
I throw lots of stuff at the wall, if that makes sense. And I experimented with, I'd do fitness videos, I'd do food videos, I'd do cooking videos. Nothing resonates with people more than my science videos. Like, I get the most feedback, the most engagement, the most my educational science videos and my empowering videos, where I'm very just real and raw. And it's crazy to me because those videos, I don't do my hair, I don't do my makeup. I'm like, well, what about this video? I actually had my hair really pretty in that one. I had the lighting right. How come you guys didn't give that video 1 million likes? You had to like the one where my face is all jacked up and my hair is messy, but it is what it is. I'm a real person, and
it's true.
I'm just glad that I'm reaching people.
I mean, that is why I think I'm super obsessed with you. I mean, because you're so passionate about the science behind it. Like how, and then why? And then when I caught your video and you were empowering so many people, you were like, that's enough. It was about your body image video. And I saw the passion in your eyes, and I didn't know what the heck you were going to do. I mean, you were so passionate about it and speaking up for those people that were being bullied and all those pressures, like looking perfect, and then the Instagram highlights, and then now they're comparing and saying, I am not enough. And when you put that post in what you referred to earlier about when you were super lean and only intaking about 1,100 to 1,200 calories, like to now, you were still an empowering woman, but there was a different mindset in there, you know? And you were saying you were not enough, you know, and I felt it. And that's when we were like, that's it. That is what we have to talk about. What a lot of people are not talking about, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it because it's embarrassing to be that vulnerable. Not, maybe embarrassing is the wrong word. It's scary to be that vulnerable. I'm not going to lie. Yes. Like, there's been some videos I've posted on YouTube, some things I've posted on Instagram where you're literally effing scared to post it because it is really raw. You're like, well, dang, what are people going to think? But every time I take those risks, there's always a jerk out there. There's always an internet troll who's going to say something dumb. There's always somebody talking crap somewhere in the world. But for the people that it reaches, and I know it does because I've talked to these women, I've looked them in the eyes, I've met them in person at different events. It's worth it to me. It's just worth it. And if I need to be vulnerable and I need to show them, what I struggle too, then it's worth it because nobody is that perfect. Everyone's got their problems. And I'm not saying like put all your business out there, but I do think we need to, just be honest and transparent with what we're going through.
Right. And that's why I think you're so unique. And why I can't stop stalking you. You're just so much more than like, hey, I'm just a fitness person and I made a lot of money. I did this quick diet and I'm beautiful. You have substance. And that's why I wanted to pick your brain and I'm like super fangirling. So there's this body positive movement. And I'll just ask you, when I say hashtag body positive, what comes to mind?
I think that it's kind of twofold because I think when most people hear body positive, and I've been criticized for being quote unquote body positive. I've been criticized for celebrating mediocrity.
What?
Yeah, we can talk about that separately.
Okay.
But I think what body positive means, it's not celebrating mediocrity. It's not promoting obesity. I've been told I do that.
I agree.
All it is just having a view and mindset of self-love towards your body as you are at any stage. Because what this message that is told to all people, to women, to men, to everybody, is that you will be worth something when you reach a societal standard. And for women, we're told, you are worthy of love, you are worthy of affection, you are worthy of being attractive, of being lusted after, whatever you want to call it, once you look a certain way. That's what women are told.
Right,
you're told that you're only worth something once you look a certain way.
Truth.
And what I want to tell, when I hear body positive, it's like, no, you love yourself right now, right now. And, focus on your health, improve your health, do all those things, but you don't need to wait until you reach some ideal to start treating yourself better. Because I know I used to go through this phase back in the day where I would like have that punish yourself mentality. It would be like, no, the things I used to say to myself out loud in my mind.
Yes,
like
I know.
It was terrible. Like I can't believe I used to speak to myself that way. If I spoke to a person out loud the way I spoke to myself, people would think I'm like Joan Crawford from Mommy Dearest or something. And
no,
it's just You know what movie I'm talking about?
Yes, no wire hangers.
Yeah, no wire hangers.
Oh God.
But yeah, I mean, yeah.
So, why do you think that we put so much pressure on ourselves?
Mm,
So, okay, so for instance, today I was really mad at myself because I didn't lose weight. Okay.
mm,
So I do a lot of perspective, and I was like, girl, you did good. You did
mm-hmm.
good. But there's still this inner voice that says, I am not good enough, not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think we are so hard on ourselves?
I think we live in an era where it's just so easy to compare ourselves to each other. I think it all comes down to that, because
Yeah, yeah.
if there was no social media, if there was no any of that, and you just lived your life, like, I think it would be a lot easier. I remember even as a young, in late teens, early 20s, I went through a phase. This is before, obvious. I mean, I think Facebook might have just been getting started then, because Facebook started, I think, my first or second year of college. I went through a phase where I literally stopped buying magazines, like any, like all the Cosmos, all that stuff, because that was like the closest thing to like social media back then, because this was pre-Facebook. I mean, I remember we had AOL Instant Messenger,
Oh my
but it
God,
wasn't
that's
all
right.
like plastered with body images all over the
It's
place.
true.
I had a phase where I had to stop looking at magazines because it was so toxic to my mindset, I remember back then. And I literally purged all of that stuff from my house, because all I would do is compare. I'd compare,
Oh,
compare, compare, compare.
gosh,
And like
yeah.
now, like we're bombarded with images. I can't imagine in a given day how many images of other people we look at in
A
a given
lot.
day.
A lot.
And I think that fulfillment and self-love and self-worth has to come from within. And if you're not really centered and grounded as a whole person in and of yourself,
That's true.
I think that, the society's not going to give you anything of value. They're just
Nope.
going to tell you to, focus on what you look like.
Yeah, and
For
do
women,
more.
and yeah, for women, it's focus on what you look like. For men, it's how much money do you make? you know, it's a double standard, and it's messed up.
That's right. So you speak of comparison, and I do it. I mean, we are all guilty of it, you know?
Sure.
How do you think we develop self-love? Like, how would you tell me how to develop self-love? Because I can literally go on to Gauge Girl Training, and anything that I want in regards to fitness is there. And you're giving away so much free resources and guides, and they're so meticulous. And, they're made with love. Well, that's what I feel like.
I'm glad.
I do.
They are.
And I was like, this is there to help. Like, this is there for people who want help. So, okay, my question is to you, how can we, those people that are struggling with body image or maybe finding that love, how does one develop that? Because you make so many training guides. Is there some advice that you can give us?
How to love yourself in 10 steps.
Right? I mean, I downloaded.
No, I got you. So I think there's a few things. I think the first thing I would tell anybody who's struggling with self-love is, I mean, I don't want to like cross a line here or whatnot by getting like too like spiritual or religious, but I think that everybody is, like beautifully and perfectly and wonderfully made by an amazing creator. And I think that there's worth in every single human being because we have an amazing creator. And that's probably going to upset some people, but that's how I feel. Number one. And number two, I believe that everybody has very unique gifts and talents and things that they were put on this earth to do. And I think by starting with those two things and figuring out, just a baseline appreciation just for existing as a human being. I know this sounds so basic.
No.
And just knowing that I feel like for me, I am the most full and happiest and full of love through the act of giving. And that's why like I
Yes.
try to give so much. Like
Aha.
we're, I think as humans, we were made to give. And
Yes.
whatever which way, shape, or form, when we're giving, no matter what way, shape, or form it is, whatever your gift, whatever your talent is, if you're a singer, if you're singing melodies that for us to listen to, if you're a great chef, if you're cooking great food for someone to eat, if you are a compassionate person who's great with the children, if you're caring after those kids, if you are a great carpenter and you know how to make things, if you're a great computer person and you know how to build build crazy programs, like
Yeah.
I think that when we're giving, that's when we are at our best. So how do you love yourself? You love yourself by giving. I know that sounds crazy, but I think you love yourself by giving of your best talents and resources, giving your very best, because I think that's the only way to feel whole as a person. I don't think any amount of like ego or being told something by someone else, it's there's nothing more fulfilling than giving.
Yeah, and I'm crying.
It's just truth. It's the truth. It is the absolute truth, because we all have things that we're meant to do. Like and I think if everyone's honest with themselves, deep down, everyone knows what it is. They just don't want to think about it or talk about it. And when we're walking in that truth, that's the key to self-love. So who cares what you look like if
That's right.
you're living your best life,
That's
if
right.
you're doing the purpose you were put on this earth to do, if you're being the best mother, wife, son, sister, daughter, brother, like cousin, if you're being that best person, that's what it's all about. And do we need to be healthy to sustain a healthy life, to have energy? Of course, of course. Do you want to look good? There's nothing wrong with vanity. There's nothing wrong with good physical appearance. None of that's wrong. None of that's wrong. Nothing wrong with wanting those things. But self-love comes from giving and walking in your truth.
And I'm crying again. Okay, so how do you balance self-love and fitness and trying to better yourself in societal expectations and self-expectations? I mean, you're an ambitious woman. And I feel like you're pretty well balanced, you know. You give us the how-tos, and you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I see some of your clients, like they're shredded. Like they're on that stage to the mom that's like, I'm originally from North Carolina. So the mom in North Carolina, like how do you promote balance then?
I think that it comes down to not being too hard on yourself. I recently had this like twitch in my brain not too long ago, probably about maybe 3 months ago, where I'm like, okay, Christine, I'm going to compete again. I'm going to get shredded. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to take all these pictures and I'm going to post them all over the internet and I'm going to get so. Then I'm like, Christine, like, are you really going to like do all that to what? Who are you trying to impress? You've done that before. Yes, you could do it again, but like for who, for what? Like, not that I'm lazy, not that I'm not disciplined, but it's just like, why am I putting myself through this when I'm preaching to everybody, like, embrace yourself as you are. And like this year, I've done several photo shoots for different reasons, and I didn't diet for any of them. Like, I mean, I exercise, I do try to focus on eating healthy, but like, I do watch my macros. I've tried keto this year. I've tried lots of different things, but like, I've intentionally told myself, like, no, this is what I look like, and I'm not going to, deplete myself for a photo shoot, because I don't want to be that woman that people look at and say, dang, I feel like shit about myself. Look at her. I want to be the person that women look at, and not to like this, somebody told me on YouTube, not to celebrate mediocrity. I want people to embrace where they are. And if where I happen to be is a 6-pack, wonderful. If where I happen to be is a little bit more softer and curvier than that, so be it. Wherever I'm at, it is what it is. And because I know myself, I'll probably lean out again at some point. And I know I'm by no means overweight, but like for the fitness industry, like I feel like I'm a lot bigger, but I don't care, because that's not going to define me, because that doesn't stop me from giving. That doesn't stop me from being generous in the gifts I've been given. So there's nothing about that holds me back at all. And now that I've accepted that and embraced that, it's so liberating. It's awesome. And trust me, I have my moments. I had a moment earlier today, but like, but like, that's what it's all about. And
That's right.
my mini meltdowns of having those panic attacks of feeling like you're not enough, they're so, they don't really happen anymore. I was at the doctor's office the other day, and they make you get on the scale, and normally you're like, oh wait, let me take my shoes off. Yeah, oh hang on, I still got my jacket on. Or for me, I'm like, I normally would want to pee first and do everything first before someone weighs me.
I know.
But like, I'm like, you know what? Like, oh well, that's what I weigh. That's all that is how much mass I have relative to the gravitational pull of gravity on the earth. So, and that's what it is, and I'm okay with that. And I normally would have had a meltdown, but I'm fine. Like, I weigh the most I've ever weighed, and I'm okay with it.
But you're healthy.
I feel healthy.
Right.
I really feel healthy. I can't tell you how much less I stress about my body. It's crazy.
And that's what I felt today, in the mirror. What would Christine say to me? And yes, I know the science. We'll talk about that in a different time.
Sure.
So, like for instance, my fiance was crazy working out, with this trainer that's like this SEAL guy, and he spent hours and hours and hours at the gym, and spent hours and hours cooking and cleaning and counting protein and whatever. And I was like, where are you? Where is your life? You spend all this time, eating and working out, and you forgot to live, And I was like, where's this balance? And we talked about it the other day, and he referred to it's from his childhood. It's from my childhood. He wasn't identified as fit, and we feel like we have to prove something, that if I have a six pack, then I'll be something, that I'll be somebody, and I don't feel like that's the way,
I mean, I've lived in that prove it mentality for so long.
There you go.
And like that prove it mentality, and like there's pros and cons to it. It's definitely a motivator, but I think it comes from a place of insecurity. I think it comes from a place of not having self-love. And when I say self-love, it's not about embracing mediocrity. It's about doing whatever it is you need to be doing, so that way you can give your best gifts to the world, and whatever that looks like. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being healthy. There's nothing wrong. I mean, you should be strong. You should be able to lift things, and you should be able to, have stamina to keep up with your family and to just live a healthy existence. But where's that line? I don't know. And I think that line can move depending on what stage of your life you're in. And I definitely understand the prove it mentality. And I think sometimes people need to go through that to prove something to themselves.
Right,
because
right.
even at the end of it, even once you get as ripped as possible, it's like, okay, now what?
Ooh, yeah.
It's going to be okay, now what? You'll get there. Everybody who's listening to this who wants to get to a certain point, if you keep after it, you will get there. But the question isn't then what?
Yeah.
Now what?
Right,
and I think the now what is, what are your gifts? What are your talents? How can you be giving? And 'cause I think we are our most whole when we're giving.
So do you feel like when somebody says, this is enough, I'm obese, and you don't promote obesity, and you're about positive body image, when someone is listening to this and is saying, like, I want to make a change in myself, in my life, and how would that person go about that, like, to make it a positive shift?
I think that it's about, back to that book I was talking about with habits. It's about what the book essentially explains. The power of habit is any habit that you have, there's like a whole like cycle and process where things that you typically do are triggers from something else. So if you typically do X every time you're stressed, or do X every time you're in a fight, or do X every time you're in a bad mood, and you need to replace that habit with something else. So for people who do want to make positive changes, if every time you get in a fight with your significant other, you eat something, or if every time you feel bad about yourself, you eat something, though you have to stop and pause and realize that it's a default habit. And am I hungry? Like, is this going to fix the problem? Like, is this going, and like taking it back a level. And I think it's all going to come down to establishing healthy habits and, having one's stress under control is a really big piece of living a healthy life, because I think that stress is a huge trigger for why a lot of people are not healthy. It's not that, like, so many times people will eat or drink alcohol because they're stressed. It has nothing to do with being hungry. They're not hungry. They just want they're just procrastinating feeling as shitty as they're about to feel.
Ooh.
Pardon me. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So, like,
yes,
if you're feeling crappy, alcohol or food is like, okay, let's procrastinate, let's postpone that feeling.
That's
then
right.
that it doesn't go
Truth.
away. So that's why you really need to understand what true hunger is, how much food your body really needs. And once that's dialed down and you're like, wow, this is how much my body really needs, this is my basal metabolic rate, this is my total daily energy expenditure, that's what that looks like. Because the rest, it all comes down to a habit shift at that point.
Right. So a lot of self-awareness.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Christine, what is your intention? Sitting down with us today. You are a busy, ambitious woman, and our topic today was body image. What is your intention? What is your message that you would like our listeners to receive?
I would like to let anybody who's caught up on body image, who's caught up on not feeling like you're good enough, not feeling like you're ever XYZ enough, to know that, gosh, I want you guys to know that you are enough as you are right now, and that loving yourself is the base and platform for all goodness to come. All goodness in every area of your life. So, accept your flaws, accept your mistakes, brush yourself off, and make constructive, positive steps towards your best health.
And that's powerful. And on that note, thank you, Christine, for sharing your time, your knowledge, and your passion for helping people. I felt it. I was like, this girl, there is something special. And thank you so much for being here. And before we go, how do we connect with you, and where do we find you?
So you guys can connect with me on my YouTube channel. It's Gauge Girl Training. You can connect with me on my Instagram account. That's Gauge Girl Training, or GaugeGirlTraining.com.
Christine, thank you so much for being here.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening today. If you enjoyed this podcast or were impacted by this at all, please share it with a friend, spread the love, screenshot it, post it on your stories, your feed, your timeline, and don't forget to tag me. I'd really love to see that. My Instagram is @RealSheilaBella. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. If you have any suggestions or questions for future episodes, I'd love to know what they are so I can make it happen for you guys and serve you better. Also, if you liked this discussion today, please take 30 seconds to leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. Your support would seriously rock my world, and I love to support my girls right back. Check out SheilaBella.com for show notes and more tips on how to live the pretty rich lifestyle. It's the best lifestyle, duh. Be blessed, you guys.